I know you've heard the saying not to settle when it comes to your spouse, but maybe you've been settling it when it comes to your relationship with God. I have 4 things to help you stop doing that, so stick around. Hey guys, it's Katie, your host of Faith at Work, and today we're going to talk about settling. I know that when I didn't get married until my late 30s, I might have had a little too picky of a list that I was waiting to settle on my significant other. You might be the same way. You're thinking about it in relationships, you don't want to settle. So here's what it means. To settle in a relationship is to enter into a relationship with someone who may not fully meet your ideal standards or expectations. Wow. To be in relationship with someone or something where it doesn't meet your expectations or your ideal standards. When I read that, I thought about how lucky we are that God is settling for us. Because what are we? We could never meet his expectations. We're always going to fall short of the glory of God, but he is still wanting to be in complete, all in relationship with us. So, instead of with your spouse where you're making your list and checking it twice of everything that you want, I want us to start thinking of, why are we settling with our relationship with God? What are we falling short of every single time because we're holding it to such a high standard? And then because we can't meet that standard, we start backing off, right? We start getting into isolation or we start driving into fear. I was settling. I still probably would settle often, except I recognize it now. So something that started coming up for me where I would get into something and I'd be like, man, like I could just sell this much real estate. So take it to your business. You're doing pretty well. Everyone's like, wow, like you're selling so much real estate. You're at the top of your game. You're at the top whatever percent. You're the top 0.5 or wherever you're at. I know that for me, I'm the top 0.5% of real estate agents in my city and I think in the state. So you start to get comfortable. And I think when you start to get comfortable, you start to forget that God does not want us to sit in comfort, right? He doesn't want us to sit and just see what happens if we just stay right where we're at. I know that I was at a sermon this weekend and he said he hates when the team that he's watching play football is up by 7 points. And so they start playing and all they're playing to do is not to lose. They're not playing to win anymore. And I know that we're doing that in our relationship with God when we just go, oh, God, thank you so much. Thank you for blessing me. Thank you for providing for me. And you forget that God wants to provide and bless you beyond. He wants to fill you so overflowing that you can actually give to others. So I think that we're trying to settle into like all of our relationships, settle in our jobs, settle in everything that we're doing. And I really want us to look at what could we do to get beyond that today. So number one, Jeremiah 29:11, baby. That is one of my favorite things. It's actually on the back of the Naples trolley. If you're in Naples, Florida, you might be seeing that go around. And this is what it says. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Wow. He wants to prosper you, give you hope, a future. He wants you thinking big. He wants you going for it. He does not want you settling in what you have right now. He wants you always pushing and pushing for more, not striving, but partnering with God. So something that I thought about is whenever I'm prompted for something, and even this last week, I was in this amazing mastermind. I'll post some more links about it. They actually have a call pretty soon that you could join it. And in that mastermind, we were all in this like intimate setting. Everyone's going deep into their faith, deep into trials, repenting for things that they, needed to repent for and all that. And I thought about praying for this person. And I was like, not me, God. I was like, use someone else, use someone better, use someone who will have the words, use someone that's prayed more often. Like I didn't want to pray for this person because they seemed like they were so deep in their prayer life that I didn't want to like mess it up. I'm like, I wanted them to have the best prayer cover them possible. I know if you aren't a big person in prayer, you might not understand what that means, but what it means is I was holding myself back from helping someone else because I was too stuck on me. I was settling for someone else will do it. Somebody else will step up. God is going to give the words to somebody else. And God could have just as easily given the words to me if I would have just opened my mouth and realized that every single thing coming out of my mouth is from God if I ask him for that. All I have to do is say, God, give me the words. Give me the words, give me the prayer. Tell me what to speak over this person right now to heal them, to make them free of whatever burden they have. God can do that, but we are the limiting factor. We are settling with someone else will do it and not taking that call and doing it ourselves. So I say if you feel stuck, God hasn't forgotten you. It's because you're holding on to something smaller instead of going for everything that he has for you. So think about something today that you're like, man, I've been thinking so small with this thing, or I haven't done the thing that God has asked me to do, and start to break down that barrier and figure out what that thing is. Number 2, so that was God created you for more, in case you didn't get what that was. God created you for more. Number 2, fear of failure is not from God. Who do you think is sticking doubt into your mind? Do you think that that is the enemy or the devil, or do you think that that is God? We started in this last week calling the devil the liar. We're no longer going to call him the enemy. We're no longer going to even give him the name the devil. We're going to call him the liar. He's a thief. He's already defeated if you believe that God is already victorious through you and the devil is submitted underneath us. The reference for this is 2 Timothy 1:7. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. So what if, you're right? Like the what ifs are what are going to get you staying up at night, not living out your full purpose, and keeping you afraid of failure. What if I go to do that and I fall? What if I start that business and it doesn't work out? What if I close my business? Right? That's what a lot of you are sitting with right now, right? A lot of you should be closing your business, moving on, but you are so afraid of what people are going to say about you, or that you are going to be a failure, or you're going to be known as that thing that you shut down, that you won't do it. God is prompting you, close the door, and you won't do it. For me, I'm thankful that God literally gave me the worst partners in the whole world that stole what I thought was my life from me overnight, because I didn't have to make the decision to leave. I knew that I was in something that wasn't big enough for me. I knew I was playing small. I knew that there was more for me in this life here on earth and that I was not living out my purpose. But I was so comfortable that I was not able to do it myself. So God did it through those men. They took it from me, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So what are you afraid of? What is fear holding you in or out of? So it's not just something that you're not doing. It's something that you're doing right now that maybe you shouldn't be. So I really want you to think about that. Moses, Peter, David, everybody failed before they were in their God-given purpose. Even after David was blessed over and over and over and over again by God, he fell, right? I mean, you might not even know it, but he wanted this woman who was married, and so he took her and he slept with her, and she got pregnant, and then he tried to fool her husband, and then he came, and then he ended up murdering basically the husband. And God did not like that, obviously, and that son was killed. So there's a ton of stories in the Bible where then David repented and he was forgiven by God. So all these things that you're worried about, just remember, what would you tell a child? If a child was going for something, would you be like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that? Or would you be like, go for it? You know, it's like these kids get home from school and they're crying about these friends that you know that they're never going to keep or aren't going to be in their life long term. And you're like, don't worry about that person. But at the moment, it seems so big. You're doing that as an adult. At the moment, these things feel so huge that you won't get out from underneath them. But I'm telling you, listen to the promptings of God, because God has your future in his hands. Number 3, the enemy wants you to stay small. John 10:10. This is the best part. It doesn't say the enemy. It doesn't say the devil. It says the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. So as the devil is trying to keep you small, right? The liar. As the liar is trying to play games with your mind, with your relationships, he's trying to make you think that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, that you're disqualified because of the shame or guilt or whatever you're carrying from something that you did in the past. God says you are forgiven. God says you are chosen. God says you are worthy. Don't forget what God says about you. And whenever you hear a voice or you're kind of talking to yourself, start to think of this. This is the way you discern between God and the liar. Are those words breathing life into you, or are they breathing death? Are they of power, or are they of fear? Because that is what's going to change the way that you see that in the next time. What is an area of your life that you are accepting that is less than you deserve. So that's your question for number 3. What is that area of your life that you're accepting less, that you need to start taking and thinking bigger and dreaming bigger and making sure that you are doing what God called you to do? Number 4, God rewards bold faith. Hebrews 11:6. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and he rewards those who earnestly seek him. So this is all about seeking God and knowing that you are to step out in bold faith, meaning you can't see it. If you could see it, everyone would just do it, right? It's like when people want to know what day they were going to die. Like, oh, if God already knows, just like, tell me the day. I want to know the hour. I want to know if I've got 2 months or I've got 50 years left. Like, I want to know how to live. Live your life right now as if it is 2 days or 2 seconds. I always think about that when I'm doing something, like even if you're flying right now. I know flying's getting a little scarier. It's like, tell the people you love that you love them. Do the things right now. Be bold in every single thing you do, not knowing how much more time you have here on earth, but also remembering that everything you do here is going to compile in the everlasting life that you have in the eternal relationship with you and God. This is such a short time here on earth, so you might as well go for it. You might as well speak what God tells you to speak. Do what God tells you to do, and never back down because of the liar telling you that you should seek down, or that your light's too big, or you're shining too bright, or that you're bothering somebody. You are not bothering anybody, and what you should be more afraid of is not doing what God called you to do, because that'd be like a fear of mine, that I'm not taking the opportunities that God's putting in front of me, that I'm not doing what I'm called to do. Because if I'm doing that, I know that I'm going to get to heaven and he's going to say, well done. And that's what I want to leave this earth knowing. What is God prompting you to do that you are holding back from going all in? Okay, you guys, that was heavy. I want you guys to stop settling. You didn't settle for your spouse. Maybe you did. We'll talk about that in therapy later. We'll get on a call or something. But with God, you don't have to. And the big thing I want you guys to think about is what a lot of people have on their shirts. They have on their bumper stickers, but I want you to have it in your heart. Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. I used to read that verse in a different translation, exceedingly abundantly beyond anything you could think or imagine. Exceedingly abundantly beyond. But the key to this verse is with him, through his strength. So you need to be all in to win. And I'm going to tell you something. We've got an episode coming next week about going all in with God. I'm a poker player, and when your chips are all in, you either double your money or more, or you're out, right? And it's even bigger with our relationship with God. So we'd love to see you at that episode. And until then, stay elevated. Hey guys, if you want to see more episodes like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. And we'd love to hear what you think. See you in the comments. And until then, stay elevated.